Housing in particular is a big one that feels like it's out of reach to a lot of people. What would you recommend to someone who wants to own a home? Would you say it's better to invest and save that money as an investment to then later use as a down payment, or should they just be keeping it in a savings account? Or I guess it depends on the timeline.
Yeah, that's a huge discussion. There's a lot of factors that go into that one that aren't immediately talked about. I know for a lot of people, I hear on repeat, I can't save faster or more diligently than the price of a house went up. So if I'm disciplined and I save, let's say, $10,000 for the year, well, my dream home just went up by 25,000, and it's so discouraging for so many people because it's starting to feel further and further. The light at the end of the tunnel is getting more dim, the more disciplined they are. So it's like counter, it's counterproductive in multiple ways. For those people who are home ownership is a dream, again, it's probably not going to be easy. It is challenging. It helps when you have somebody to do it with you. If you don't have a spouse, that's totally understandable. But maybe a solution could be, a friend that you really, really like and you can live with. I know it's really popular that two or three buddies are getting together and buying a house together and having one level each. You might have to get creative, and I don't like that I have to give that advice, but like I said, it's getting harder. It's getting more challenging. The longer you're out of the market, that challenge just gets broader and broader. So I would say you have to get creative. This comes down to a lot of discipline. And again, there's other factors that play into it too. I talk to some people and they're waiting for an inheritance. You know what I mean? That's their only shot at home ownership. It's kind of, it's a little bit depressing to talk about it that way, but some people, that's reality.
It's definitely a sign of the times. And I think a lot of people are feeling that. A lot of people are feeling uncertain about how they're going to fund their future. And even now with simple things like grocery prices being so expensive, it's like
Yeah,
it
it's crazy.
seems to be much harder these days, as opposed to, I wasn't alive 50 years ago, but it seems like you could have sort of had, a one income family and had a house and had a family and a pretty decent living on one income, whereas that really seems completely impossible now.
Yeah, the one income household is just so rare to see. A lot of it is just getting creative. I mean, the other thing too is some people's expectations might not be realistic. If I was to ever defend the prior generation, I think they had more realistic expectations. So, for example, their first home, if you talk to your parents, your parents' parents, it might have been a tiny 900 square foot little bungalow. Whereas, it's not totally uncommon where I talk to maybe people my age and they want that single detached two-story. It doesn't always work out like that. Same thing with location. Sometimes I talk to people and they say we can't find, a house in XYZ city where I work. Well, I hate that I have to tell you this, but that might not be realistic right now. Maybe you have to buy the outskirts and drive into town if you want to keep that job and own a home. So there's concessions that have to be made, for a lot of families. Some are willing and some are not. It just depends how bad you want it. But I feel like maybe that prior generation had some more realistic expectations about what they were willing to accomplish and what they were willing to give up. But yeah, it's a very, very in-depth conversation for sure.
Yeah, there's some degree of, I don't want to say entitlement, I guess, but there's some degree of like wanting the best and not wanting to sort of sacrifice. I do think that there is some desire to have it all now. It
Yeah,
seems much more expedited, and I don't know if that's like a Instagram generation where you just see everyone having all the
yeah,
things on Instagram. And it's like, well, I want that too, and it's kind of a keeping up with the Joneses of this generation, But it does feel that way. It's like you always want the new iPhone,
yeah,
you want the new
yeah.
Hummer, you want the new whatever. And I get that, but I think it's important to try and be realistic. And lifestyle creep is a real thing. Do you see lifestyle creep happening with your clients? Because it seems like there's a lot of people who are making really good money, but they're still broke.
Yeah, yeah, that's another great question. Like, well, a lot of it comes down to people's value system. So again, I'm finding myself defending the older generation, but if you go back to 1980, it wasn't important for that family to have new granite countertops in their kitchen. Do you know what I mean? It just wasn't. That wasn't on their radar. It wasn't a priority for them to have like the new, windows, you know, computer that just came out, whatever it is that is a luxury. They looked at that as a luxury. We looked at that as that's a mandatory. So when I talk to people, sometimes when they tell me what they are saving up for example, blows my mind. It could be like a third car. Why do you need a third car? Our generation, like, our parents, they made it work with what they had. Well, that doesn't really exist to a lot of people in our generation. And you're probably right. It's probably social media. It's probably a mix of things. But yeah, it's people's value system really shining a light on what's important to people and what's not. And oftentimes the people that are high earners become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and then that lifestyle really eats at them. Right. So that lifestyle can really bite them in the butt depending on what they're used to.